Welcome to another episode of Impact and Insight podcast. In this episode, we shall be discussing school development, the impact of are we actually giving the necessary education to our youths? Will the education they are receiving today meet the challenges of tomorrow? And to discuss this with me, this episode is Dr. Nelson Ayodele. Welcome for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Nelson Ayodele is an education consultant, a leadership facilitator, and a motivational speaker, a life coach with over 30 years of experience in the school sector. He has helped over 1,000 private schools to develop and grow their system. And within this period, he has engaged, helped schools in developing their teachers, in providing the necessary kind of education and the kind of necessary concepts in education for the growth of our educational system. Dr. Nelson,
Thank you for having me.
the first question would be is the school system as we have it today providing the kind of education necessary for tomorrow's challenges?
Okay. Well, going by my experience over the years and what I have seen, both locally and internationally, there is a great disparity between what we have here and what is available in the developed countries. We are a little bit behind if we have to be very factual. And we are behind for a variety of reasons. Majorly, our curriculum is not really preparing our children for the future as it should. Because up to this moment, our learning system is still focused on rote learning and memorization and is heavily laden with examinations where you are just expected to regurgitate the facts, the theoretical facts, and get a pass mark and get certification without any practical knowledge gained from that learning. And as a result of this, there is a gap, there is a skill gap that the children are having when they get out of school with that theoretical knowledge and not being able to do simple, practical activities that makes them to fit into the real world. We also find out that even those who are developing the learners, those who are facilitating the knowledge. So the so-called teachers,
okay.
yes, they are even incapacitated. Their knowledge is limited as well. They are also behind in what they need to know because they have not been exposed to continuous training and development that will make them to know better than what they had always known. So their knowledge has been static. And they also have poor motivation even to learn on their own. They are mostly not well motivated, not well remunerated, and as a result of that, there is very, very low. There's an apathy on their part to even passionately deliver what they are supposed to do. And then you find out that in terms of infrastructure, the facilities are not good enough. In many of our schools, right from the primary to secondary to tertiary institution, you have overcrowded classrooms. You know, you have inadequacies of digital tools and devices with which children are going to learn. So many things that the children are supposed to be exposed to at the different levels, primary, secondary, tertiary, they don't have access to it. In rural areas, no electricity, no internet connectivity. So the children, the gap is just too much. So their future is a bit bleak, if I may just say the
So
fact.
you agree that there is a problem of meeting tomorrow's challenges with the educational system we're operating at
Definitely,
the moment.
there is a problem as we are going on.
How many, in your statement, you alluded to overcrowded classrooms by standard,
Yeah,
as the CEO of Standard
Mandate
Mandate
International.
International, what
Yeah.
is an adequate number of students in per classroom, per teacher?
Well, it varies. Like in the elementary classrooms, we always advocate a maximum of 20 to 1.
Okay,
Yes. In the secondary school, we still have a manageable class of 30 to 40 to a teacher in the tertiary in the secondary classrooms, and then in the university, the auditorium must be able to have the facility where all the students will be able to see, hear, and be involved in the learning. So that one, there is a variable to that, but the conduciveness of the classroom is what we are really talking about. The
okay,
classroom must be conducive for the learner, and the facilitator must also be able to easily reach the learner in a classroom where facilitation will be delivered effectively.
okay. Before I take you into what the government have been doing with regards to provision of these structures, I would like to know, in this era of AI, artificial intelligence,
Yeah,
I've seen or heard where people use artificial intelligence to teach.
yeah.
Is it adequate? Is it necessary to do that? Will that not be taking away something from these kids in terms of their development?
Well, that is quite debatable,
Okay.
and we need to be very cautious in our assessment of the situation because AI has come to stay.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing we can do about it. It's part of the development that we are witnessing in the scope of education. But it has to be used with caution,
Okay.
whereby there is a need for regulation, there is a need for policy development, there is a need for ethical guideline in the use of artificial intelligence. It's just like when the calculator came up
Okay.
at a point years back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you are not allowed to use calculator. You are not allowed to bring it to the exam room and all that. But after some time, it was seen that even if you bring the calculator will not do the work for you if you don't know the formula. So, same with the AI. AI is a tool of research
Yeah.
that will fast track all the hours you need to go into the library, ruminate over the books, shift the books one by one. AI in few seconds will give you all the things that you need
Yeah.
to do in hours. So it is making learning easy. However, there is still a need for intellectual input on the part of the user, either the teacher or the student. You must be able to establish an original connection with the material that the AI is giving to you. So you are not supposed to lift AI from the base and just dump it as an answer for your assignment. You should be able to have your own input, read through, put your own points, and adjust it. And most importantly,
Yeah.
acknowledgement.
Okay.
You must be able to
The
acknowledge the
source.
source
Okay.
that this has been an AI generated answer. However, you have been able to add this and this and this to it, and that is when the originality will be established. It's
Okay.
just like your previous thesis that you do before,
Yeah.
that you have to quote references.
Yeah.
You need to
Okay.
also quote that so as to avoid plagiarism,
Mm-hmm.
so as to avoid, the integrity of your intellectual material. And that is the caution we need to take when we are using AI.
Thank you, Dr. Ayodele. Because I was actually looking at the relationship between excessive application of AI and critical thinking.
Yeah.
That probably when students are allowed to excessively use this AI in solving problems, it
Mm,
take away or chip into their ability to think critically.
yeah.
You don't think that is that is correct?
Well, that is why I said that when you come in contact with the AI material, you have to read through it. AI also, if you go through some AI material, you will see there's always a caveat at the end that says that this information may not be 100% accurate,
Okay.
because we are also generating this from other sources. Some AI site will tell you that categorically. So, as a user, you are not just taking it hook, line, and sinker.
Think,
You are reading through, you are
making
thinking
making
through, and
adjustments
then
to
you
it.
are making adjustment. That is where critical thinking comes in.
Okay.
That is where your own analytical skills comes in.
Yeah.
And that is where the practical application also comes in, because when you do an assignment with AI, probably as a final year submission, and you are not made to defend what you are submitting, then we will have problems. But when you know that you are going to defend what you are submitting, and you had read through it, you have made all your point,
Of the
you
plan.
can present what you have with AI originally without even looking at the
Okay.
materials and own the content. And that is where the practical application comes in. So if you cannot defend what AI has given to you, and you just take AI hook, line, and sinker, then you have not learned anything.
It's
And it is in the learning that we are having issue,
yeah,
not just in passing the exam, not just in getting the grade,
yeah.
not just in obtaining the certificate. What have you learned at the end of your educational career in the university? What can you say you have learned? What can you do with what you have learned? If
Ah,
you have not understood it, and
yeah,
you can be able to explain it in practical terms,
yeah.
then you may not have anything good to do with what you have learned.
Oh, good. Thank you, Doctor. Again, in your intro, you alluded or mentioned the lack of motivation on the side of teachers.
Yes, sir.
What exactly, in your years of engaging schools, helping them to grow,
Yeah.
uh, what actually is the problem with our teachers?
Well, the problem with our
Because definitely it can't
teachers,
just be the salary.
no, it's not just the salary. The problem is systemic.
Okay.
And the problem is somehow endemic
Wow.
in terms of societal perception
Oh.
of the teacher. Society does not place value on the teacher. Society does not have much respect for the
Maybe in
teacher.
recent times, though, but
Yeah,
because while we were growing up, teachers
yes.
are seen as teen gods.
Well,
Whatever they say, it's
yeah, even then, you still see that teachers still struggle. Teachers still don't have all their needs met. Teachers
mhm,
still, if not for the values, and the moral integrity of those teachers then that made them to be contented with the little that they had, they were ranked very low in socioeconomic status,
mhm.
and that is what we are battling with today, that the present day teacher cannot meet his basic needs. The present day teacher find it difficult to pay his house rent. The present day teacher find it very difficult to commute even to his place of teaching. That you have to go on bike, you have to trek kilometers before you get to school, just because the salary that you are being paid is poor. So this is a basic problem that is inhibiting motivation in the teachers. And I think that the system should be recalibrated in such a way that government policies
Yeah.
should indicate major interest in developing our teachers and in remunerating them well, and giving them sufficient motivation to do what they need to do in classroom.
The schooling system in our country is such that both primary school, I think, are handled by the local government. The
Yes.
secondary school are under the purview of the state
State
government
government.
and probably state universities.
Yes.
And the tertiary institutions are the ones handled by the federal government.
Yes.
And so the issue of remuneration for
Yeah.
teachers and
Mm-hmm.
their development will
Yes.
most likely fall within the states and the local government,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
And which means they are not actually doing what they are supposed to be doing in
Mm.
terms of remuneration. Is it
Yeah.
as a and now that they are even getting more revenue from the center, probably they
Yes.
should begin to pay more attention to teachers.
I think the decision and the action has to emanate first and foremost from the federal government.
Okay.
There must be a directive. There must be a clear directive to all authorities concerned that let us have a review of the packages that we give to our teachers at all levels. And once
Okay.
that is passed down, then the state government can start talking about
Can
it, and then the local government can take a
can the
cue.
private sector move this idea you just mooted now
Yeah,
for fear of federal government not being seen as interloping into based on the segregation of powers.
yeah.
You understand, the federal government
Mm-hmm.
should not be seen to be interfering
Mm-hmm.
with the state governments or dictating to the state and local government what to do,
Yeah.
which at the end of the day they will come up to say they do not have the capacity to implement whatever the federal government have reached agreement they've reached.
Mm-hmm.
Is it don't you think the private sector can actually, like organization like yours, which is a standard
Mandate
mandate
International.
international, drive this kind of idea where you have the state government and local government and other stakeholders coming together to have a discussion?
Well, we have done that on several occasions. We have had series of conferences and summits.
Okay.
In the past, we have done a lot of Georgia and conversations, but that is not the issue. The issue is the gap of execution. You can say
Okay.
everything that you need to say. You can submit all the proposal you need to submit, but it is still the federal government. It is still the people at the center that will execute and pass down directive. And with the private school system, it is a bit difficult because it is being driven by economic factors. It
Okay.
is the number of the children you have in your school that will determine the amount of money, the amount you pay to your teachers. So it's a bit difficult to drive it from the private sector. But the government has the wherewithal. Up to this moment, Nigeria is still falling far below UNESCO recommendation
Okay.
of budget expenditure on education, which is specified to be between 15 to 20%
Of the
of the
budget.
total
Budget.
budget. But up till now, if you still look at our last budget, it is still far below 10%.
Yeah.
So, underfunding the sector is a major issue that will affect the salary that will be given to the teachers.
Yeah.
Because
But
when the money
again,
is not even enough for
that
infrastructure,
budget will include the provision of facility
that's
infrastructure
what I'm
for
saying. That when
education.
it's not even enough to provide infrastructure, then what will you now be talking of? Of teachers. You even find out that in cases where they focus on infrastructure, there will be no money to pay the teachers, and then you have backlog of salary. You see teachers going on 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months without collecting their
Sad.
monthly salary.
Sad.
This is a very sad
It's
development,
sad. It's sad.
which we all collectively have to look into if we want to move education forward.
Okay, I'll bring you back to this issue you raised, the conferences or you had in the past,
Yeah,
why the implementation was a bit difficult. I'll bring you back to that because I
yeah,
want to quickly want you to touch on. You hear recently most of our youth have lost interest
Yeah.
actually in going to school. You
Mm.
hear the phrase school is scam, education
Education
is
is a
scam.
scam. Yeah.
And why, in your opinion, you must have done some research, I
Yeah.
believe, this generation,
Yeah.
the Gen Zs, are losing interest in going to school?
Yeah. Because the outcome of the schooling
Yeah.
is not desirable. The expectations are not being met. You see parents struggle to send their kids to school. Some parents even will go and borrow money, from cooperative, send their children to school in the view that after 4 years, the child will pass out and then will start helping the family, in the well-being of the family. But today, people now graduate after 4 or 5 years, and there is no job anywhere. For 2, 3, 4 years after leaving school, there is no job. And you see a graduate of biochemistry, a graduate of geophysics, riding Marwa, and riding Okada just to make ends meet. So there is that disillusion that nothing is coming out after this. And then the rigor of going through those 4 years in the university or in any of the tertiary institution, it's today is very hard for the Nigerian student. In their dormitory, in their hostel, no light, no water, about 20 people in one single room, climbing on each other, poor feeding, health system not there, the classrooms overcrowded. So it is like a torture for the
For
Nigerian
the
youth
youth.
going through that system.
But
And now looking at those who did not go through that system out there making money,
making some money.
making it, it is more attractive for them to join those people outside who did not have to good will not have to go through all this rigor and will make money, live in an apartment, ride a car at the age of 18, 20, 22, and look at me here suffering in the third year with no assurance of even getting anything. So that disillusion
But we,
is
we,
what is driving
we,
our
we,
youth
we
today.
must admit that the social system has broken down, right? Our social values probably
Yes.
has broken down because we always believe while growing up that you go to school, you get a job, you are comfortable, and life goes on.
Yeah.
Today, it's not about going to school, getting a job, like you have said,
Mm.
and but it jeopardizes the future of the society.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Well, it is not our social value really that has broken down. It is
Okay.
our educational system that has broken down,
I
that
was
is not
thinking
delivering.
the social value drives the educational system.
No, the
Is the other way
educational
around?
system drives the
The
social
social values.
because it is assumed that the more educated you are, the better person you should
You
become
should be.
in the society. You know, if the education that we are providing today is industry driven, it's driven to the point where you leave school, you are attached to an industry immediately, just like we used to have in the olden days.
Mm.
While when you are in your final year, different companies will
Are
come
looking
to the
for
school looking to
a
recruit,
recruit.
and then you will have like two, three, four options of whether to go to Volkswagen or whether to go to Cadbury or whether to go to Nestle.
Or
You already
pan.
have it,
Yeah.
so you don't have any anxiety when you graduate. That was when the system was working. So we need to go back to the base.
Again, I've always have this thought that while we're looking at the curriculum, it's probably preparing all of us
Yeah,
get out of school and look for a job instead of build entrepreneurs. Get out of school, look for something to do, be an employer of labor.
yeah,
But we consistently churn out people from tertiary institutions who
yeah,
consistently are going out there to look for job. But in actual fact, they, not everybody will be employed. by the organization. Somebody has to start something, find a solution to a
Yes.
societal needs,
Mm.
and then that's how societies grow. But we appear to be stuck
That is
with
why
this.
I said that our learning system needs to be looked into. It is more theoretical than practical. And if we can, match, like we normally say, if we can match the gown with the town,
Okay.
and there is a connection, a deeper connection between the ivory towers and
Yeah.
the industries, where the industries will be involved in the education of the students,
Mhm.
where before the end of the training of the student, there will be internship, there will be opportunity for the student to go and have practical knowledge of whatever he or she is studying outside.
Yeah.
And there is an integration of what you call soft skills into a university education curriculum,
Yeah.
whereby courses like critical thinking, courses like problem solving, courses like communication skills, courses like, all those soft skills that will make you to be industry fitted
Yeah.
even before graduation. You will have so much confidence on your own. Entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
must be taught right from the university.
That's why
It
I
doesn't
wanted
matter
to
what course that you are doing.
I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
that probably we should incorporate
Yes,
entrepreneurship
these
in.
are these are all the courses that will make every individual student to be ready for the future, with or without a job. Anybody giving you a job with those skills, you can create a job for yourself. When you are a critical thinker and a problem solver,
Yeah.
you will be trained to see problems, and when you see problems, you see the opportunity to solve the problem. And it is in solving the problem that you are meeting the needs of
Yeah.
some people. And it is in meeting the needs of those people that you are handing money. So
Hmm.
why do you need to look for a job when you can spot problem,
And
solve
so
problems,
and
and
make
make
money
money?
out.
So we are not trained to spot problems. We are all just walking around, going around with a blinded theoretical knowledge that is not leading us anywhere. I went to school, I did philosophy, I know all about Aristotle, I know about Plato, I know the Epicurean philosophy. What does that translate to in Ogba market or in Oshodi market? It doesn't translate to anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, but why don't I go to Oshodi market and spot the needs of that market and see what people are crowding over to buy, scrambling to buy, and then think of it. Why don't I get this thing and organize it and do it in a different way? And then I can make purchase of this easy for people. And then you have what you want. And then digital literacy, we've not even talked about that.
Okay.
A lot of our students today are incapacitated when it comes to digital literacy.
Yeah.
The use of phone
Hmm.
is being limited to social media entertainment by
Yeah.
most of our youth. So they don't even have an idea of what to do we need digital education that will let people know how you can have an interface with the digital device, and how you can use it to connect yourself to the world, and then to connect yourself to the world of entrepreneurship, and then get people to know what you are doing, and then get that exchange for the value, and
Yeah.
then make what you need to make. So the total education that is needed is what I believe our policy makers should look into. What will make a student viable
I
as an
still
educated
believe that
person?
we can't just leave everything to the policymakers.
Hmm.
Someone has to drive it. And I always have this belief and notion that it is the private sector that should drive, and probably the NGOs that
Yeah.
should drive this idea, and before the policymakers can latch onto it and give us some very good
The,
policy
the, the, the,
reforms.
the, 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 that will that has always been happening
Okay.
and is going to continue to happen. But the private sector
Yeah.
is limited in the reach of the Nigerian students because the private sector can only reach a limited number of students whose parents can afford, you know, to engage in whatever service we are
Yeah.
providing.
What I'm
Uh,
trying, my idea is
mhm,
get the probably the Senate Committee on Education
yes,
members, sit them down, and in this kind of summit, so that
yes.
they will have the something to take away to their committees, and which they can put together and probably propose to government. You can have even the executive involved in it.
Over the years, they've had so many of such. I'm still insisting they've had so many of such, and they will still continue to have. But if the people at the overall decision making level do not
That
see
at the
into it
ministerial level
at the
now.
ministerial level,
Okay.
even at the presidential, if education does not form a critical part of the agenda of the present day government, all these that we're talking about will not come in place. It will only happen when education have, have a dominant place in the agenda of the government and
Okay.
it is practically driven,
From there.
from the top to the base. It has to be driven from the top to the base. If the president comes out tomorrow now and say, as far as I'm concerned, I was made by a teacher, and every Nigerian teacher must have a comfortable life. From today, we have to make sure that government at all levels see into it that every teacher has a two-bedroom flat. Every teacher has their education of their children guaranteed. If that comes as part of the agenda of a government, it will not be difficult for it to be driven at all the states and local government level. It will be driven,
Okay.
but it has to be, it has to come,
It's going to be this is going to
from
be
the
a
top.
continuous discussion. But
Yes.
I quickly want to uh, you to talk on the impact parents have on their children's education. You see, parents will want their kids to become something,
Yes.
which is probably become an engineer, become a
Mhm.
doctor, become a lawyer,
Yeah.
and force it on these kids to
Yes.
to. Is this not killing the creativity of these children? What do you have to say to that?
Well, to a large extent, I believe that parental involvement is pivotal
Okay.
to the development of the child. And that is why I have always known that there is a need for parental education, which is also a huge gap in our educational system. Most of our parents don't know better than what they are doing. And as a result of that, they only do what they know, what they have seen, even their own parents did and their grandparents did. It has been passed down the line and it had become something that there is no intentional and conscious action on the part of the parent to see to it that the interest and passion of the child is developed from infancy to when the child is grown. The involvement of the parents in the life of the children these days has been very, very minimal because the parents really don't have much time. They all go out and they had left the education of their children entirely in the hands of
The teachers.
contractors to build for them. And as a result of that, the parent is not really conversant with the child, doesn't know the interest of the child, doesn't know the talents the child has. And as a result of not knowing that this child is artistic, this child can draw, this child can play football, this child can do music, this child can, build structures, intuitively, without knowing your child to that extent, you just have the societal a perception that these professions are good enough. These are the profession: lawyer, doctor, pilot, engineer, and then you must become this and become that. And as a result of that, they put so much pressure on the child, and that child begins to suffer what you call burnout, begins to have stress,
Okay.
begins to have even depression. You know, you see a lot of medical students running mad, so to say, in schools because there's so much pressure on them to pass in a course where they don't have a basic interest. So when a child is not interested in something and you are forcing the child, that child can never be the best at it. So there is a need for parents to first and foremost know that their involvement should be increased in the life of their children. They should be more involved in the educational development of the child,
Okay.
and they should also know that the interest of the child should be tailored to the profession that suits that interest and that passion. And that is how the creativity of the child can be enhanced. And that is how the child can become more fulfilled rather than just having paper certificate and
Certificate. So,
qualification. It's not enough for a child to go to school and graduate, and at the end of the day, the child cannot do anything on his or her own. There are a lot of things those children can do even without going to school. Look at Bill Gates. Look at Steve Jobs. Look at all the examples all over the world. Look at all the people who have invented different, apps that we talked about today. It is not only their education that made them what they are today. It is the interest and the passion
they
they
have.
have, and which was encouraged by their parents or by those responsible for bringing them up, that made them to be what they are today. So, parents should know that the education of their children is not limited to the four walls of the classroom. Outside of the four wall of the classrooms, when they are home on holidays, on weekend, engage them in other practical learnings that can make them useful for themselves. I remember that when our children were growing up,
Yeah.
we used to have different entrepreneurship programs that we
Sure.
organized,
Yeah.
and some of them were trained how to make hair, how to do makeups,
Yeah.
how to do mechanics, simple mechanics on the car, how to do electrical fittings, and and I'm telling you the truth today, that when some of them found their way abroad, it was those skills that they had
Yeah.
developed
That is
that
helping them,
engaged
sustaining them.
them, that sustained them, before they eventually found their feet. When you have those kind of skills,
Yeah.
anywhere you find yourself in the world, you will be useful. But if
Exactly.
you carry BScs, political science, BA philosophy and religious studies, BA classics, BA this, MSc biochemistry, when you get to Bahrain, you get inside the desert, there is no usefulness for all those ones.
So
So
invariably, parents should not impose their own interests on their children.
no, they should. They should
They should
not.
observe these
They
children,
should observe the children. They should know their
see what
interests,
is.
and even in situations where they need to impose, because
Yeah.
there are situations where the societal pressure can make you to want to impose. Like you are running this big studio now, and then you have all your children, and all of them wanted to go and play football and with nothing to do with this. So you'll be wondering, what do you do with this when you are done? You want to hand it over to somebody. You want to hand over your law firm to your child. You want to hand over your medical practice. So at such, you can sort of impose, even within the imposition, give the child the liberty to still explore his interest
It's interesting.
on the sideways, so that the child will have.
Invariably, you are looking at the consent now. There should be
Yes, the
some
child
level of
should have a, yeah,
consent.
the child must the child must be persuaded,
Okay.
and in within the persuasion, you must give the gap for the child. You can still do your own stuff, but let this be a major thing that you will do. And that is why you see a lot of medical doctors, they still have side hobbies, they still have side hustles that they do, which makes them more fulfilled at the end
Oh,
of the day.
okay. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. We are rounding up now. I want to know, put on your thinking cap.
Yeah.
look into the future and the next 10, 15, 20 years
Yeah.
with our educational system, where do you see our society? Are we going to be there competing?
Yeah.
What is your view? What's your take on that?
Well,
What need to be done? If
you
nothing is done in the
yes.
next 10, 15, 20 years, where do you see this society?
Yes, you know the common parlance that says that if you keep doing the same thing the same way, you keep getting the
The
same
same result,
result.
yeah.
And that is a simple definition of insanity. So you can't just keep doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. If we are going to have a different society in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we have to start doing things differently. If we want to have a better society in 2046, in 20 years' time, we have to have a review of our present day educational system, which is all that we have been talking about. We have to review the curriculum. We have to integrate all the needful into that curriculum. We have talked about them. Critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, entrepreneurship, communication
Yeah,
skills, digital literacy, all these are to be integrated into our educational system. And then the people who are delivering this education to our children,
the
if
teachers.
the teachers, if we don't look into their matter, uh, it will continue to create a gap, a huge gap for us to meet up with global competition.
Wow.
So our teachers must be empowered.
Mhm.
Our teachers must be well trained. You look at the example of Finland
Okay.
and Singapore.
Yeah.
In Finland, for example, the teachers are one of the most respected citizens and one of the highest paid, where you have, teachers earning 70 to 80 million naira per annum,
Wow.
and where the minimum qualification you need to have before you become a teacher in Finland is a master's degree,
Wow.
and where in the hierarchy, in the societal hierarchy, the teacher is placed very high,
Mhm.
and you don't have any problem. Every teacher have a car. When you get to a school, you see the car park is filled up with teachers' cars. So where you have such empowerment, there will be learning. Everybody will be eager to go to school. Everybody will respect the teacher, and everybody will want to learn under such teachers. So we need to empower the teachers, and then we need to look at our infrastructure
Mhm.
and our digital literacy system.
Okay.
We need to make sure that there is a digital access by every Nigerian child, irrespective of the geographical location. So there must be a national drive to achieve these three major things: curriculum review,
Okay.
teacher empowerment,
Okay.
and infrastructural upgrade, of the facilities that needs for us to have a complete educational package for our
An
children.
educational system that will meet tomorrow's
That will
challenges.
meet tomorrow's challenge, not only meeting tomorrow's challenge, that will make us to be able to compete
Hmm.
with other countries on a global level,
Yeah.
whereby we will solve our brain drain problem. People will stop running to those countries, and those countries will start coming to us, bringing their industries to us, because we already have the people here who can work on whatever it is they're producing. When we have that huge populations of well trained young people, you will see that our industries will bloom, because the industries will come down here, set up here, and they will find a cheaper labor here
Yeah.
than bringing in expatriates from abroad, because our children had been prepared for a fitted modern industry.
A quick one. Um, People, some educationists,
Yes.
like Professor Bab Swafunwa
Yeah.
and the late Professor Sophie Oluwole, I think,
Yes.
have argued that teaching and development has to be done in the mother tongue
Yeah.
for it to have backward integration and impact.
Yes.
And if that is not done, we're only fishing around.
Yes.
We won't be developing at the rate we're supposed to be developing. And they point to countries like France, China, India, and some other, Japan, and some
Yes.
other places.
Yes.
And I think some years back, the late Professor Baswafunwa did experiment
Yes.
with taking some kids, teaching them in
Yes.
Yoruba as the means of communication
Yes.
and not English.
Yes.
So, do you share this idea that there is need for the language
Yes.
of teaching matters a lot in impacting and developing?
Well, to a large extent, I think I share that belief, especially in rural areas.
Okay.
You know that even up till now, a large percentage of our geographical land space, they are still rural. And the children there don't have access to basic education. And the few that have struggle at that level, you know. It's because many of us are used to only the cosmopolitan city. That's why we don't know that there is a
What is
problem.
happening out there?
When you go to Odelmu, or you go to Umunede, or you go to Malumfashi in the north, and you see the children there struggling with ABC, that is when you will appreciate the concept that Professor Fafunwa was talking about. That
Okay.
expose these children to what they need to know in their native language. So they will not need to struggle to understand it. And once they have the basic knowledge of it, then they can now easily integrate into the standard English education because they have had that formative structure. It is just the formative structure. That is what you call the formative structure of education. So that foundation will give them a very sound footing to understand every other thing that will be built
Okay.
on it, since they have the concept in their native language and their native intellect. It will be easy for them to relate to anything that they see in respect to that subject. And that is why that matters a lot.
All right. Your parting shot, Dr. Nelson, to
Yeah.
my viewers.
Well, what I would just say is what I've said earlier on. To keep doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result is not the way to go. If we want to have a change, if we want to have a review, and if we want to move forward, then we need to start doing things differently. The earlier we start, the better for us. We say that the best time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is now.
Yes, now.
So if we can start now,
Yeah.
and we have a roadmap, and we follow that roadmap, with a mindset of honesty and honesty of purpose
Yeah.
and sincerity of motive. It doesn't matter. In 20 years, we may go slow, but we will get there. And that is what I want us to know. Whatever we want to do, let's start now. And then let us commit ourselves to the journey. And let us know that at the end of the day, we will get to where we're going.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nelson Ayodele,
You're welcome,
for
sir.
honoring us. It's been a wonderful time sharing your experience with us.
Thank you.
We look forward to having you again in the studio.
Thank you, sir.
My viewers, thank you for staying tuned. We hope to bring back Dr. Nelson Ayodele for another episode to dig deeper into this level of discussion, especially on the policy side. And we hope you honor us when we do invite you next time.
Well, I'm all yours. I'm committed to this. This is the only thing I've done in the last 30 years,
Thank you.
what I still intend to do for the next 30 years as well.
Thank you very much. Viewers, thank you for staying tuned. Until we come your way again, thank you.